Hey guys, okay, so I wanted to do a quick video and let you guys know how we got pregnant. Not like the details, but if we were taking medication or anything like that. So most of you guys know we moved from California to Arkansas in October of last year, 2015. And prior to that, the last 4 months or so that we were in California, I was not tracking anything, which before I was tracking every time we had sex. I was tracking every time my cervical mucus changed. I was tracking everything. Every teeny tiny little detail. We'd had 3 rounds of Clomid in 2015, one of which caused me ovulation, but the rest of them did not. None of them were successful as far as causing pregnancy. So we kind of put that on hold. I said, you know what, let's just wait until we get to Arkansas and we will go on whatever fertility journey we need to go on, but let's just get there. I was working 3 jobs, so I was insanely busy. I also was on a weight loss journey. A lot of you guys saw I did the 21-day fix. I stopped filming, but I did stay on 21-day fix, and I lost about 28 pounds by the time we got here. Now, October was the first month I had a period in, I want to say like 6 or 7 months. So October was the first period. I tracked that because I never have a period. And then September I had a period. November I had a period. December I had a period. And it was pretty much spot on, which I've never gone that many months in a row with having consistent periods. I genuinely didn't think too much of it. I was so caught up in the move. I was caught up in my new job, trying to arrange our house, getting our lives back together. I didn't track anything. I wasn't paying attention to what my body was doing. I was just trying to get by. And finally, when things settled down, I want to say it was January, I'd finally got into a doctor's appointment. Actually, I think it was the first week of February. First week of February, I got in for an OBGYN establishing my medical back here. And I told them my whole story that, you know, I've had several miscarriages and I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, I have diabetes, I have all these issues, and we want to get pregnant. So she said, okay, and she came highly, highly recommended through the community for fertility. She said, all right, well, let's get you on the right track. We'll take you down to Little Rock, which is about 4 hours away, and we'll start doing some IVF. But first, I need you to get the diabetes under control. And I think something else is going on. She wasn't quite sure what it was, but she felt like something else was happening. So I said, all right. So I waited. The next time I could get into the endocrinologist wasn't until May. And I was like, all right, well, we'll just wait. Well, what was it? March, we went to spring training in Arizona for giant spring training. And I hadn't had a period in January. I hadn't had one in February. And I was like, guess I should take a test. I don't know. So I took a test, and I was so used to seeing negative tests that it didn't really faze me. I took a test before we went to Arizona, and it was negative. So I was like, all right, I'm just going on a skipping period term again. So I didn't think anything of it. That week, it was around St. Patrick's Day, I was so tired. I couldn't do anything. Like, I was coming home, actually a few weeks before that I'd started. I was coming home from work at 6 and going straight to bed, not eating dinner, going straight to bed, sleeping until 7 in the morning, which normally I got up at 6, and like hardcore sleeping. And my husband's like, are you okay? Are you feeling fine? I'm like, I feel fine. I'm just tired. I don't know what's going on. We went to Arizona. I was exhausted the whole time there. Like, my aunt and my husband were all hooping and hollering and having a party. And I'm like, can we go back to the hotel? I'm tired. So Matt would take me home to the hotel every night around 9, and I'd go to sleep and they'd go back out and have fun. And I was like, I can't do it. I'm exhausted. And when we came back home, my boobs had been hurting while we were in Arizona, and that's a normal symptom for me for starting my period. So I was like, oh, it's finally come. I'm gonna start my period in a day now. And it didn't happen. And I was like, gosh, they really hurt. And so, I mean, like, I couldn't stand a bra touching me, let alone anything else. So I said, you know, it was a Thursday. Thursdays are my half days at work. And I said, I'm going to take a test this morning. So I got up, I took a test, and there were 2 very, very faint lines. And I was like, okay. I didn't freak out. I went to work, and the whole time I was like, I need to go home and take another test. I need to go home and take another test. I got home and I took like 12 more, and all of them were progressively getting darker. So I was like, okay, well, this is happening. Again, I didn't get my hopes up because in my past experience, the times that I've popped a home pregnancy test positive, by the time I was able to get into the doctors, I was already losing the baby. So there wasn't much they could do for me. And I was trying not to get myself worked up. I didn't even tell Matt. I just called him and said, hey, I'm going to the doctors. And he was like, all right. So I called the doctor, said, hey, when can you get me in? And they're like, can you come in an hour because she wants to see you right away. And I was like, all right. And she knows my history. And so I came in and she said, sure enough, you're pregnant. And I was like, no way, this is not happening. And so she wanted to get an ultrasound to confirm gestational age, because there was no real way for me to definitively tell her because my periods are so erratic as it was. And so she's like, I thought we were going to do this together and you went off and did it by yourself. It's kind of funny, but, well, not by myself, but you know what I mean, without medical help. And so I waited a week to get the ultrasound, and I was terrified the whole time, just sick with worry. Oh, she put me on progesterone. She said that my progesterone was incredibly low. I believe she said, if I remember correctly, it should have been over 10, and it was only like 5.8. So it was incredibly low. And she said, don't get your hopes up. I don't know if we can catch this to make it stick or not. But I don't know how far along you are, so there's no real way for me to gauge what's going to happen. And there's no real way to gauge anyways. But she gave me the progesterone. I went home. I started using that. I waited a week for the ultrasound to get in to see the ultrasound tech. I went in and I was 11 weeks pregnant. So just about out of the first trimester. I had no inclination. Now looking back, I'm like, yeah, I totally had symptoms. But because of my PCOS, I genuinely have those feelings frequently. The exhaustion, the nausea, the headaches. These are all things that I have every day. So the fact that I was having them more frequently wasn't too much of an alarm for me. But yeah, so it turned out I was 11 weeks pregnant, and she said I could stop. I needed to go another week of using the progesterone to make it to 12 weeks. And she said she'd feel comfortable then to go ahead and let me stop taking that. So I did that. They bumped up all my appointments for the endocrinologist because I had to be seen for the diabetes. My blood sugar was out of control. My diabetes is based on hormones because of my polycystic ovarian syndrome. So they needed to get that under control ASAP. I think I went in 2 weeks later to the endocrinologist, and now I've been seeing him every 2 weeks since I found out I was pregnant. I do have an appointment today, so I'm debating on whether or not I'm going to film my 25-week update today or maybe tomorrow, but try and get it up this week. So I want to see what they say first. So we ended up getting pregnant with no artificial help. Oh, and by the way, the whole time that I was living in Arkansas, and actually prior to that too, I was drinking fertility tea and tiny tea, both by the company Your Tea, which I love, 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 by the way. Not sponsored at all, but I love their company, and I'm going to buy some of their nursing tea too. But I was also using essential oils. So I was using Progessence Plus every day, and I was using Endoflex. And I was using that on my abdomen area. I'm currently not using anything except for lavender or lemon or something if I need it, some of the lighter oils. But I'm not using anything just because I am such high risk. I just don't want to. So I have all the stuff ready for labor and delivery, and I'll go through all of that later. Rate, comment, subscribe below. Bye, guys.